USA. Maybe it's Cortex.
No. Or then there's also what my favorite joke in the game is, though, during the ice level with all the penguins.
Mm-hmm.
There's a scene where Cortex is arguing with a penguin, and he makes the joke about, well, Wrath of Cortex didn't do as well as we'd hoped.
Wow, they're sassy.
Yeah. And then he's just like, the penguin looks angrier, and he's just like, fish? Holding up a fish, and it cuts back to the penguin, back to Cortex, back to the penguin, back to Cortex, he's holding a gun, and he shoots it.
Oh god. That game really did have some funny elements to it.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the Gaming and Collecting Podcast. On this episode, me and Alex are going to be taking a look at the Crash Bandicoot series. Originally the pseudo Mascot for the PlayStation line of consoles, it eventually went multi-platform and had its shares of ups and downs over the years before its recent revival in the most modern days of gaming. It's definitely been kind of a trip. But anyways, guys, once again, thank you for joining us as we discuss the games that shaped us. So, how have you been?
Well, has it been a while since we recorded? I can't remember. When was the last time?
It had.
Okay.
It has. The last time we recorded, I was visiting you.
Ah, yes. Indeed. Indubiously. Wait, was that last weekend?
No, that was 2 weekends ago.
Ah, I see.
See, last weekend, considering this is our How You Been segment.
Yes.
Last weekend, we got obliterated by another storm.
Oh, yeah, I forgot, because it once again didn't affect me.
No, we lost power right during our normal podcasting time. It came back, like, right after. It was, like, great.
Womp womp.
And then we almost didn't record tonight.
Yeah, because you were...
Because, so I had to send my truck for service.
Mm-hmm.
Oil change, inspection, auto start, you know the drill.
Yep.
And because of this, the dealership I bought it from is like 40 minutes away, like in the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
So we had to drive up in the middle of the night, drop it off.
Mm-hmm.
Then I found out the next day, to get the auto start, they needed both my keys, so I had to drop off my spare key as well.
Yep.
So I had to drive up the next day again.
Huh.
And then it was done today. Problem is, they only stay open until 6, and I couldn't drive up myself to go get it, obviously.
Yep.
So I had to wait till I could get a ride. Unfortunately, the way time works, it wasn't going to be until, like, borderline, like, too late. So we had to call in advance and have them, like, hold it for us and, like, put the, like, keys in the car, like, so I could get them.
Yep.
So then we're driving up, and traffic, I guess because Thanksgiving's next week, if anyone's wondering when we're recording this.
Yes.
Traffic has been ridiculous.
There's just a lot of
Like,
people going to be traveling.
And I think they're freaking out about the holidays, too, because, my God, I stopped at the liquor store after work, and it was a madhouse.
Well, everything's more expensive. I saw, like, an article detailing that turkey prices have gone up 14% since last year, which is pretty big. Like, in retrospect, like, 14 may not seem that big, but 14's pretty big percentage for prices going up. So everything's more expensive right now. I mean, you see it with the gas, and it's only going to get more and more expensive.
Yeah.
Fun.
You saw it with that video game I showed you today.
Yeah. No, it was Atari, the Penguin game from Atari.
Yeah, we'll be more on that at a future podcast.
Yes.
But yeah, like, madhouse everywhere, and oh my God, like, when people are stressed in the holidays, it really shows just how selfish some people are.
Oh yeah, how much, like, pieces of shit people are.
Yeah, it's kind of insane, honestly.
No.
But yeah, that was pretty nuts. I did want to do a quick collecting update real quick before we move on.
Yep.
So I've got a couple new games for my collection.
Oh boy.
I've got Shin Megami Tensei 5.
Oh, nice.
For the Switch. Doki Doki Literature Club Plus, also for the Switch.
Oh. Did they have a regular Doki Doki Literature Club? Like actual Switch boxed game?
No.
Okay.
Well, yeah. Yeah, the Plus version came boxed.
Oh, okay. No, but did the original come boxed?
No.
Okay.
No, that was a free download.
I wasn't sure if you had that as well. What?
Well, I mean, I downloaded it for free on Steam, but...
Yeah.
And then finally, this one's dumb. I got Spy Hunter on the Vita because it was cheap.
Spy Hunter, what is that?
It's based off the old Midway Classic arcade game.
Oh, okay.
I've heard the Vita one sucks, but it was cheap, so why not?
It was cheap, and it's a Vita game, so there isn't as many of those.
And they're expensive as crack these days. So when you see a Vita game for under $20, you
get it.
You go for it.
You grab it, and you never let go. Well, my week has been pretty... I guess we won't talk about my week. Nope, we won't talk about it. Nope, you don't care. You don't freaking care. I'm leaving. Goodbye.
I didn't know you had...
I just banged my head on the table.
Serves you right.
Oh, I got my hair done the other weekend, and it feels nice, because I don't realize how much my hair grows until I get a haircut, and then I'm just like, oh my god. So now it feels so light and fluffy. Cut your damn hair. And then, this week I had to do... Well, this week's flown by, actually, pretty quickly. But I'm so excited for this weekend, because I'm going to go see goats. I'm going to a farm. I'm real excited. I love animals. I've just determined that when I'm old and I retire, that I just want to start a farm. I want to have a farm.
Cats.
I want...
Nothing but cats.
I'll have some cats, but... I'll have, like, pigs and goats, and I want some llamas, and I want some alpacas. I'm really on this farm kick, and I just really want a farm.
You need to get... I'm going to have to get you Story of Seasons.
Christmas. Or my birthday.
Yeah.
Or just do it because you love me and I'm your sister. But I want a farm. It's Stardew Valley. I want a farm. I want a fucking farm.
I gotta get you the new story. The new Story of Seasons is really good, so I gotta get that for you.
Okay. But yeah, other than that, so you were going to say, what are you drinking? So what are you drinking?
Yeah, I didn't know if you... Are you drinking anything?
I'm drinking you can go first.
Okay. So I was being experimental today, and I got a Cayman Jack margarita cocktail thing.
That's interesting.
Yeah, apparently this is the new hot thing.
Margaritas in a can? Mixed drinks
Cocktails
in a can?
Cocktails in a can.
Yeah, that actually makes sense now that I think about it. Because I get sometimes those Moscow Mules in a can, and those are pretty good. Because I love me a Moscow Mule.
I got a couple of those too because it was a variety pack.
Ah, nice. Maybe I'll try it. How is it?
It's okay.
Just okay?
It's a little sweet for my taste, but...
Margaritas are usually sweet, though, so...
Yeah. Well, apparently I was talking to a guy at the liquor store, and he was telling me seltzers are like last year's news. Now it's all cocktails in a can, so...
Huh, good to know. Well, I'm drinking a crisp apple hint. It's water infused with crisp apple essence and other natural flavors. There's 0 calories and 0 sweeteners, and it's just so refreshing.
Sounds about right.
Yep, no drinking for me because I won't be able to sleep. Woo! Because sugar.
You just sounded like an Atari game.
I am an Atari game. I'm like the Atari version of Stardew Valley. I just want to have a farm. I really want a farm.
Just a sneak peek to an episode we're doing soon. We're gonna be doing an Atari Jaguar retrospective soon. And I can't wait.
We're gonna play some Jag.
Play some Jag. Where did you learn to fly?
Where did you learn? Will we play that game? Will you let me play that game? I really want to experience it.
We're gonna play that, and we're gonna play the fighting game with the the Scottish guy that shoots fireballs out of his dick.
Heck yeah, I'm going to play as that character. You know what would make the Jaguar better?
What?
If Balls was on it. Because I'm so great at that game.
I don't think it is, but...
It would be better if it was on it. I'm just saying. It's a great game.
Alright. Well,
anyone
moving
who
away
disses
from the...
it can just go to hell. I'm really tired if you can't tell.
Well, anyways, we have a topic for this episode, and it's a fun topic.
It is?
Crash Bandicoot.
Oh, Crash, just like I'm doing right now. Jokes.
Right. So, God, when was the first time you remember seeing Crash?
I remember seeing it. I remember, like, the commercials. I remember seeing it on TV.
I loved the commercial of the guy in the costume.
Yes.
At the Nintendo building, just harassing Nintendo.
I remember all the costume ads where it was the guy in the Crash costume.
Yeah, and he was harassing the Nintendo building. Yes. He was being like, "Yo, Mario.
Yo, Mario.
What's up?"
He wasn't even going towards Sega. He was like, "Screw them. I'm just going straight for Nintendo."
No, yeah, but Sega was this was Gen 5. Sega was irrelevant.
Oh, true.
But yeah, I remember those, and the Japanese ads were even better.
Oh yeah, I feel like we really missed out on some good. There's some great.
So getting into Crash's history. Obviously, we'll get to Japanese Crash in a bit, but I guess going into like the history of Crash. Crash was the creation of Naughty Dog.
Yes.
Quite possibly one of the most iconic developers.
Didn't they call it Sonic's ass game?
Okay, yeah.
Sorry, that just came in my head.
Naughty Dog... This wasn't Naughty Dog's first game. Mm-hmm. Naughty Dog had a couple games beforehand. Like they had like a skiing game. They did like this math game. Mm-hmm. I think they were originally known as Jam Software or something weird like that.
Jam. I like Jam.
Yeah, but their early history was pretty random. Like it was mostly PC games. They had this one really obscure RPG on the Genesis called like Rings of Power.
Yep.
And then, if you remember from the 3DO episode, there was also Way of the Warrior.
Ah, yes.
The really funny Mortal Kombat clone that we played.
Yep.
But Way of the Warrior was their final game before Crash. And it was also their first game that they did with Universal. And Universal was so impressed with Way of the Warrior, believe it or not, that they signed them on for an additional 3 games.
Oh, that's funny.
And then they signed a distribution deal with Sony, which would give them exclusive rights to the PlayStation. So Crash is a little confusing.
Yep.
Naughty Dog created it. Mm-hmm. Universal owned it.
Oh.
Sony did all the publishing and distribution.
Yes.
So you had kind of a confusing mess, to the point where Universal didn't do a lot.
Yeah.
They kind of were just the rights holders.
They were kind of in the best place, though, financially speaking. Because they did nothing, but they still earned money from it regardless. So, in business, thinking about it from the business side, they were actually in the best spot. You know, they had rights to it, but they didn't have to do anything, and they still made a lot of money from it. Sounds like a good investment to me.
Yeah. They kind of lost out in the end, though, because they kind of lost Naughty Dog.
Oh, well, they're dumb. Womp womp. Bad business decisions. They made some good ones, even that. And they made some bad ones. No.
Well, they did, but we'll get to that later.
Oh, boy.
But, yeah, so...
Sorry. Oh, sorry, I forgot to lean into the mic just to piss you off when I yawn. I'm kidding, I won't do that. He just flipped me off. Mom, if you're listening, your son just flipped me off. Please smack him in the face. Thank you.
Alright. So, anyways, Naughty Dog was mostly... It was founded by two primary people. It was founded by Jason Rubin and Andy Gavin, who were the creative brains behind most of their early work. Mm-hmm. So, Crash is pretty interesting because it was designed as a 3D platformer. Uh-huh. And the whole idea was, rather than doing a side-scroller like everyone else was doing at the time, you take the whole idea of the side-scroller and you turn it into a 3D space.
Yes.
Which is why the game was dubbed the Sonic's Ass Game. Because you'd constantly be looking at the characters behind.
His dump truck.
And, yeah. But before... It's funny because they actually went through a couple test names. Like, Universal, one of the names that they pitched to Naughty Dog was Wuzzy the Wombat.
Ew, I hate that. I'm glad that didn't get work.
Naughty Dog said no on that one.
Yeah.
But they eventually settled on Crash.
I like Crash. Wuzzy the Wombat. I do not think that would have picked up. The name alone, I feel like, just would have been like, no, I do not want to play Wuzzy the Wombat. Woo.
But anyways, what made Crash was so unique at the time because 3D platformers were kind of in like a weird like space where it was kind of like there wasn't really any out at this point, and the ones that were very rudimentary. Like I think Jumping Flash was like one of the few that was a thing.
Oh, okay.
And we hadn't really seen Mario 64 yet.
Yep.
So Crash was fairly unique for the time, and I mean, it still kind of is, the whole hallway idea.
Oh, yeah.
Because Mario went in a completely different direction with the expanded, like, open areas.
3D world.
Crash... Yeah, like the open-ended kind of non-linear style. Mm-hmm. Crash went for the more linear approach where you have a beginning point and you have an end, but you can move in a 3D space.
Yep.
Although Crash was unique because it also kind of transitioned into 2D at times.
Yes.
So you'd have like side-scrolling sections.
And then it would flip.
And and you'd flip back to 3D. And it was pretty cool for the time. I mean, Crash 1 is very dated nowadays.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's one of the most difficult, right? Of like the original trilogy.
It's probably the most, but it's not even because it's hard.
It
it's
has
just
to do with
it's
like
so...
the controls and like the... It was the first
yeah.
game.
You could only use the D-pad for one thing.
Ah, that sucks.
Because it came out before the analog stick was added to the PlayStation.
Yeah. Whoops.
And it also it feels very much like it's the first game. Like, it's very clunky. Crash is oddly heavy in it.
Yeah.
And the level designs haven't been quite fleshed out. Like, he doesn't have any of the the moves he would learn in like later games.
Oh, like the spinny and the jumpy.
Well, no, he all he could do was spin and jump.
Oh, okay.
Like, the slide wasn't a thing yet.
Yep.
Like, none of these. But yeah, Crash 1 was interesting. Like, the gimmick behind Crash is basically you go from beginning to end of levels. There's a ton of boxes in each stage that like just random crates, which were apparently placeholder items.
Oh, really?
And Naughty Dog liked the look of them, so they just kind of kept them.
Huh. And now they're iconic.
Yeah.
Bill, I should cosplay as the box. From now.
No, the Wumpa. No, the Wumpa. The Wumpa fruit.
Wait, no. I'll wear a box and then I'll put the Wumpa fruit. Like, my head will be the Wumpa fruit. That'd be
Which one would you...
That'd be so fucking stupid, but great.
Okay.
Sorry. All I need is like literally a cardboard box and then some face paint in a wig.
Yep.
Alright, I'm doing it.
So,
my next cosplay is gonna be a box Crash face. Oh, you can tell how tired I am right now. I get my best ideas when I'm tired.
Well, you're the one that suggested tonight,
right.
so...
Well, it's because I have a friend coming over, so I needed to do tonight or we wouldn't record. I'm doing this for you. Yeah. Appreciate it. And dress up as Crash. Yeah. And I'll be the box. No, wait. You should dress up as as Cortex. You dress up as him. You have the hair.
No, I don't.
We could style it. You'd probably just look like a Simpsons character. If we, like, painted your face yellow.
We're gonna move away from this. But...
I'm being a box.
But anyways, so... What is wrong with this?
I'm tired. It's been a long day. I had to do laundry. Laundry's a process for me at my apartment.
I had to drive back and forth multiple times, but let's not crash.
It's too late for that. We've already crashed and burned.
So, anyways, Crash 1 was kind of a janky kind of messy kind of game, but it did incredibly well for the time.
Yeah.
And it was such a standout that obviously a sequel was going to come.
Yeah. But they also signed the contract, right? That they had to do 3 games.
Well, yeah, they were going to make 3 games regardless, but I mean, if the first one bombed, I mean, they could easily...
Oh, yeah, they could get rid of Crash and make Wuzzy the Wombat.
Well, no, they could have easily just cut the contract there. But...
Oh, true.
Basically, all the contract meant was if the game was successful, they couldn't go somewhere else for a better deal.
Oh, that makes sense.
But, yeah, so Crash was like a phenomenon. Like, it pretty much became the unofficial mascot of the PlayStation.
Yeah.
But, so anyways, a sequel would come, and my god, what an improvement. Like, so Crash 1 is kind of the weirdest entry in the series, like the old classic series. Because it was... you just played as Crash. There was only... It only had like an overworld map, like that you went level to level.
Yep.
There was no... you only had the boxes, and Cortex had like a very odd like voice and plot, and then to finish the game 100% you had to find every gem in the game, which was brutally hard and not worth doing. And it was the one game where Crash had a girlfriend.
Oh yeah, isn't it like
Tana.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's true or not, but the rumor is parents complained that she was too quote-unquote sexy. And, you know, because 32-bit polygons are totally...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Then it's a fucking Bandicoot, but that's beside the point.
Oh, no. It's just that she's sexy. Furries, Bill.
So,
furries.
They can do them. That's fine. But anyways... So the rumor is that she was removed because of parental complaints, but in the process she was replaced with Coco, Crash's younger sister.
Yes.
And Crash 2 basically set up the primary, like, the established formula that the series would follow for the next few games, where you had a number of levels, and you'd get like a hub, and you'd get a bunch of levels you could pick from. And each level would have a number of collectibles that you could find. In 2 in particular, it was crystals and gems. And you'd need to find the crystal in each level to complete the level and move on.
Yep.
Which is actually funny, because the story for Crash 2 is Cortex basically manipulates Crash into finding all the crystals, claiming that he's turned a new leaf. But you can actually mess with Cortex, and if you actually fail to get the crystal, like, multiple times in the first stage, Cortex will, like, berate you and be like, how the fuck do you not get the crystal?
Nice.
But then there's also gems that you can collect, and collecting the gems is for the side story, which is Dr. Embryo. From the first game. He's working against Cortex now in the background and wants you to get the gems, not the crystals.
Yep.
So you go through level by level, and this introduced a lot of, like, established, like, tropes. Like, obviously, they were in the first game, too, but you had the running levels, you had, like, kind of surfing levels.
Yep.
And the music in Crash is insane. Like, it's super, like, catchy and upbeat.
Yep.
And this was also the game that introduced the slide maneuver and the slide jump, which added to the speed of levels that you could get through them. And Crash 2 is kind of, like, it's arguably up there as one of the best in the series. Because it has both the normal ending, but it also has the true ending, which you get for collecting everything.
Yep.
And the true ending is, like, the definitive, and it actually leads into the third game, which is the one that we have the most history with.
Yes.
So Crash 3, other known as Crash Bandicoot, Warped, because you have to say it like that.
Warped. Oh, well, that was pretty good.
That used to scare you as a child.
Yeah, well, I was... Well, one, I'm a naturally jumpy person already. And then every time... And we'd play it so much, it, like, haunted me in my dreams, I guess. Because I always heard, warped. And it was like, it scared me.
But it was always funny, because it was like... And we have Crash Bandicoot Warped.
Well, yeah, it came out of nowhere. And I was like, how old was I? Like 10? Like, I was only a child.
Let's see. Crash 3 came out in 98. So, yeah, you were like 2.
I was a child, Bill. A child.
A child.
A child. It was like, I think it's like, what's worse than a rapist? A child. No. That's what...
You spend too much time on TikTok.
No, that was Vine, Bill. That was Vine.
Oh, whatever. They're the same fucking thing.
You didn't see it, but I just took my bottle and I chucked it into the trash can and it flipped and landed in and now it's stuck straight in.
Okay.
This is chaotic. Oh. I'm on Wikipedia. Well, I'm on like the I'm on Bandipedia actually. Bandipedia, and it has an option to play the Warped theme. So the da 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 that theme.
Yep.
I won't play it because I don't think my PC has sound, but also because I won't ruin the yeah.
Yeah.
Hi.
How are you? So, Warped is probably... I'd say Warped is probably the best of the original of the Naughty Dog trilogy.
Oh, yeah, I think so, too. I mean, I could play it,
It's arguably either that or 2. Because they're both so good. But Warped is the one that I have all the memories with.
Yeah. Me, too. Well, and Warped's
And it had the awesome...
You go. Oh, I was going to say Warped...
Well, I said...
Oh. All right, you go. And I'm not going to speak, so you just speak.
Well, it's just Warped has like the awesome time travel mechanic.
That's what I was going to say.
It added all the staple boss fights like Dingodile.
Yes.
Dingodile, Tiny Tiger. Entropy, Engine, whatever his name is. Engine. And
Neocortex.
Cortex, and obviously Cortex himself, and Uka Uka. Aku, the witch doctor's...
the evil mask. That was the
brother.
And that was the first introduction to Aku. Oh, wait, Uka.
So, Aku had been in the series since the first game, but he had no real personality until until Warped.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I always remember his introduction. Uka is free? No, this cannot be. I always remember that.
Yep.
And and this game had probably some of the funnest level themes. I can still like some of those stages are like ingrained into my memory.
Like the one where it's Coco in the Chinese theme.
Oh,
Asian
the tiger level.
Yes, because I remember those are the ones I would play, and I got so good at them. I gotta replay the remake on the Switch again.
We'll get to the remakes.
I gotta replay it. Well, I gotta get a pro controller though too. I really gotta get one of those, or even just one of the regular controllers, even if it's not a pro. I just need a better controller so I can play more technical games.
But so Warped was a mega success. But that was the end of their 3-game deal.
Yes.
Naughty Dog wasn't quite done yet.
Nope.
So then they'd do a 4th game, and they'd work with Sony, and we'd get Crash Team Racing, a kart racer.
Yes.
And it is a damn good kart racer.
Have I played that one? I don't know if I've ever played it, but I'm sure.
I don't think we... I'm surprised we didn't play it for when we did the Switch Marathon, because I have the remake of that on Switch. But it is a damn good kart racer.
Yeah, we'll play it next time.
Like, it's basically... It was mostly known for its awesome drifting mechanics and its cool story mode.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, that was another knockout out of the park by Naughty Dog. Like, they were like 4 for 4 at this point.
Yeah, they wanted to win.
But by this point, their deal with Universal was over. And they had a choice. They could either continue to work with Universal... or they could just start working directly with Sony.
And they were like, I'm gonna work with Sony.
Well, I mean, they cut the middleman out, and then they could work directly with a publisher like Sony who were on top of the world at the time.
Yeah.
So they would move on to begin work on what would eventually become Jak and Daxter.
Oh.
And Sony would actually acquire them in 2001, I believe. So they became a full-on Sony studio by that point.
Yep.
In the meantime, Universal still owned Crash.
Yep.
And they would release one final game, still published by Sony.
Yep.
Called
Crash Bash.
Crash Bash. And Crash Bash it's a Mario Party clone.
But it's ain't good.
No, it's not awful, but it's not amazing. It's like single player. It's boring, like boring bullshit.
Yep.
But multiplayer is where it's at. Some of the games. Some of them are boring as shit, like the Pogo Panic. Ugh. People who have played know. But you want to know a really funny thing about Crash Bash?
What?
So Crash Bash was the first of a number of games developed by other teams besides Naughty Dog. Crash Bash was the lone Crash game to be developed by Eurocom.
Oh.
And what's hilarious about this is you could actually find the demo for Crash Bash, I believe, in Spyro 3.
Oh, really?
So fun fact about the demo. It has the full game on it.
What? Oh, so if you went in and break the game, you could basically access the whole game.
There's a way to get through debugging in the demo to get to the whole game is on the freaking. That says how small of a game Crash Bash really is.
That's hilarious.
The whole game is in that demo. I think either Kadikarus or Ant Dude did a video explaining that.
I think it might have been Ant Dude. I don't remember seeing it. Oh, a fake Crash.
Oh God, we didn't talk about Fake Crash. So you know the story about Fake Crash?
No, I don't know the backstory.
Okay. So I want to talk about this, and we can talk about Japanese Crash too while we're at it.
Okay.
So Fake Crash.
Yep.
Was actually a character created by Naughty Dog, based off of a horribly bad bootleg Crash doll.
Oh, that's hilarious.
It was this hilariously awful Crash doll that they found, and they made it a joke character in the games that you could find in the background. He first appeared in Crash 3 as a background thing that you could find.
Yeah.
And then he became a playable character in Team Racing and a few other games.
Yep.
But yeah, there's that, and then there's Japanese Crash. Now the thing with Japanese Crash is when they brought the game over to Japan, the localization team knew that the American Crash design wasn't really going to fly in Japan.
Yeah.
So they redesigned him for all the artwork and advertisements in this Japanese style, which was super Japanese and cutesy. And that's where the Crash dance came from.
Oh, really? That's funny.
Yeah, that was part of the Japanese ads.
Oh, wow. Yeah, he definitely is a lot. I mean, he's not super cute. He's definitely more big-eyed and...
Oh, yeah. But no, they kept that up even beyond the Naughty Dog era. Every Crash game, I think up until... Hell, maybe even the Tattoo games, but we'll get to that later. Had a Japanese Crash design.
Oh, that's so funny. It's just funny because it's Crash with anime eyes.
And a big open mouth.
And a big so goofy looking. Oh my god.
But it fucking worked because Crash was huge in Japan.
Yeah. I mean, I can see it. It's just so funny.
Yeah. But before we move on to the post Naughty...
Oh my god. Who's the character in not Warped? It's the next one that's where it has all the machines and there's only... And it's the multiple mask. What's his name? He's buff and he's sounds like Mr. T.
Oh, Crunch.
Crunch also has the big anime eye.
Yeah, I know. We'll get to that after, but first we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Goodbye. Woo.
And we're back.
We're back.
So
I didn't say we are family. Oh shit!
That's
I just
nice.
said it.
Anyways, so after the PlayStation era and Naughty Dog had gone on by this point, they were making Jak and Daxter on to better things.
Yep.
Universal basically had the franchise rights, and they were basically like, "What do we do with these?"
Yes. Make shitty games. No.
Let's be a little more real here for a minute.
Yep.
So, what would become the next Crash game had kind of an interesting development. Originally, the guy who was the main mediator between Naughty Dog and Universal, Mark Cerny, I believe he was in charge of the project.
Mm-hmm.
And Mark Cerny's still around to this day. He actually designed the architecture for the PS4 and PS5.
Yep.
But so he was heading the project, and he originally wanted the game to be an expansion of the idea. He wanted to have open-ended areas and exploration and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And originally the game was still going to be published by Sony, and it was going to be a PS2 exclusive, but eventually that deal fell through. And they signed a distribution deal with Konami, who was actually the Japanese distributor at the time.
Oh.
So, and it would also officially make Crash a multi-platform series.
Yeah.
So, eventually, Universal got cold feet, and they backed out of the open-ended idea in favor of making essentially Warped but bigger.
Oh, okay.
And they enlisted veteran studio Traveler's Tales to handle the development.
Yep.
Now, don't shit on Traveler's Tales, because they're a very good quality studio. They have made some shit.
Mm-hmm.
But they've also been making Lego games for the past decade, so...
Yeah. And I feel like every studio makes some shitty games. The problem... Shit happens. And, sometimes games end up not being as great as it goes. There's a lot of behind the scenes that people don't know about,
Yeah. But there's some studios that are just impervious to that, like Insomniac, or even Naughty Dog to a degree.
True.
Who have just never really put out a bad game.
Yeah.
But that's beside the point. So Traveler's Tales would take over, and the game would eventually shift into what we now know as The Wrath of Cortex, or Crash 4 in Japan. Keep that in mind.
Whoops.
But, yeah, so The Wrath of Cortex was a direct follow-up to Warped, and it's implied it took place after the ending of Warped, even though, the ending of Warped is literally Cortex is stuck in the past.
Mm-hmm.
But forget it, don't worry about that.
Yep.
But, so, basically all the villains have teamed up, and they want to, basically Villainy, as Uka Uka says, Villaini's profits are way down.
Yep.
So they're kind of going over a plan for what to do next. And that sparks the idea of bringing out the Elementals, a series of 4 masks.
Yep. That
can be used to power Cortex's super weapon, which is just another Bandicoot. But he's bigger, has a metal arm, and he sounds like Mr. T. But anyways, so obviously this alerts Aku Aku, and then he sees that the Elementals are out.
Yep.
And here's the fun thing about the Elementals. The Elementals are all voiced by famous actors.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So, the first one was Rocco, who was an Earth Elemental. And, let's see here. I'm trying to find the names, because I always forget the
actors' names?
Yeah, I forget the... Oh, yeah. Okay, so... The first one was the Earth Elemental Rocco was voiced by Tom F. Wilson, also known as he was the guy from Back to the Future, the bully guy, Biff from Back to the Future.
Oh, okay.
The water one, Wawa, he was voiced by Arlie Ermy from Full Metal Jacket. That one is funny as hell whenever he comes on screen.
Yep.
The fire one, Pyro, is Mark Hamill, known as Luke Skywalker, the Joker, among many other things.
Yep.
And then the last one was Jess Harnell, who is... what what was he in? I think he was in Animaniacs. He also was the voice of Crash at one point later down the line.
That's funny.
Oh yeah, he was Wacko in Animaniacs. That's what he was.
Oh.
So yeah,
okay.
they were all famous voice actors, which was kind of cool for the time.
Mm.
But once you get to the actual game itself, now, some people like to dump on Wrath of Cortex. I mean, it's not amazing compared to the original trilogy.
There's a lot of machines.
But it's not. Yeah. It's not a bad game.
No.
It's just not... It's average, I'd say.
The load times were atrocious, though. It was in the first round.
The load times were atrocious only on the original PS2 version.
Yes.
The greatest hits versions fixed the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And the GameCube and Xbox versions, it wasn't a problem at all.
That's so funny.
Also,
how it's like, it worked on the Xbox fine, but on the PlayStation it had problems.
You also got to realize the PlayStation version came out a lot earlier.
True.
And the PlayStation 2, as great a system as it is, was significantly weaker in hardware compared to the Xbox and GameCube.
Oh, okay.
To the point where the Xbox version, which I've recently acquired and played a bit of,
Yep.
actually has additional fur textures and improved graphics.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's the definitive version, actually. Aside from it's missing one music track, but what are you going to do?
Well,
but yeah,
sacrifices must be
Yeah.
made.
But in terms of gameplay, Wrath of Cortex, it's basically just Crash Warped, only some of the levels are a bit larger and there's a lot more gimmicks.
Yep.
Particularly in the form of vehicles, which are everywhere.
Yep.
But not all of these are bad.
No. Some of them are bad, but not all of them are bad. Some people are just being dramatic.
Well, some people have never played the game and they just like to say it's bad.
True.
But I mean, the flying missions for the most part are the same because they're just like the ones from Warped, and then the ball rolling stages. I fucking love the ball rolling stages. Where you're in like a ball and you have to roll around.
Yep.
Those are really cool games. I mean, the problem is, it's just such a carbon copy of Warped in so many ways.
Yeah.
And it has the same setup. You go through all the levels. You want to get all the crystals and then gems to get the good ending. And the game basically ends with the predictable, oh, Crunch wasn't evil. He was just brainwashed. Da-da-da.
Yeah.
Now we're friends.
And now he's your buddy. And he still talks like Mr. T.
And then Cortex and Uka Uka were trapped on the Arctic forever.
Forever.
Now, so, Warped is... I'm not Warped. Wrath of Cortex is weird.
Yes.
Because it's not bad. I mean, I enjoyed playing it when
there's some good
aspects,
but there's definitely some poor aspects.
It's flawed.
Yeah.
Flawed is the way I'd put it.
It's not perfect.
It got mixed reviews. Most people's biggest complaints were that it was too similar to Warped.
Yeah.
And following its release, then we'd get two of the most interesting games, in my opinion, in the series.
Mm-hmm.
We'd get the two entries for the Game Boy Advance.
Yeah. Oh, is that like the Spyro crossovers?
No.
Oh, okay.
So there was two Crash games that were released for the GBA. There was The Huge Adventure and Entranced.
Oh, okay.
And so the Huge Adventure is essentially it takes like elements from Warped and Cortex Strikes Back and combines them together into a solely 2D side scroller.
Mm-hmm.
But it plays identical to like the console games, only in 2D, and it uses pre-rendered graphics to simulate the 3D.
Yep.
But they're kind of, I don't know what the canon status of them is. They happen in the background.
They're games.
But they're really well made, like solid side scrollers, made by Vicarious Visions.
Oh.
Like a very well known developer by days who is mostly known for either porting things or making handheld versions of things.
Yep.
But they did those two, and then in the second one, Entranced, which was based off of Wrath of Cortex and Warped.
Huh.
Fake Crash is actually a major character.
Oh, really? That's funny.
Yeah, because there's a whole mind control warp thing going on with it.
Mm-hmm.
And then after the 2 GBA games, then we had Crash Nitro Kart.
Yep.
Which was essentially just a sequel to Team Racing.
Yep.
It's not bad. It was also made by Vicarious Visions.
Oh, nice.
And I mean, it's not bad. My only problem with it is it's kind of glitchy, and Team Racing is just better.
Yeah, it's just a better game.
It's a better looking game, but it doesn't. It's not as fun as the original.
What's up with his face on the box art? They fucked up his face.
He's just very excited to drive that kart.
I don't like that. Well, it's awkward because like in this, if you're looking at, I'm on the Wikipedia, right? Well, the Bandicootpedia, whatever it is, Bandiporn, who knows? Like his arms are like in the middle of his mouth. Like his arms line up because his mouth is open. Like usually if he was not smiling it would be fine, but because he's smiling his like shoulders are literally in like the middle of his mouth and it just looks bizarre. I don't know why.
Crash you gotta remember, Crash doesn't have a body. He's just a face with arms.
I know, but it really just shows how fucked up his body is. Like, it just looks so strange.
Yeah. But anyways, after Nitro Kart, there was a crossover with Spyro for the GBA. Mm-hmm. Called Crash Purple, the Ripto's something.
Yes, Ripto's Rage or something.
It's a hunk of shit. Don't bother.
Don't buy it. Both of them are bad, right?
Spyro Orange is worse. Crash Purple is just stupid. Mm. They're just so.
It was a way to make money. It was a way to make money.
Pretty much.
People would buy it for the whole. Oh my god, it's a crossover.
They're not platformers. They're party games. They're just
Wonderful.
But yeah, so moving past that, then we get. So this one is the most interesting. Mm-hmm. Crash Twin Sanity.
Oh, my favorite. That one's my favorite.
Twin Sanity is quite possibly one of the greatest what could have beens in gaming history.
Honestly. I want them to go back and remake it, but I know they won't, but I wish they would.
Well, unfortunately, Activision is a terrible company, so...
Oh, that's so interesting. I'm on like the Wikipedia right now, and the difference between the American version's box art and the
Japanese,
in the PAL version.
Well, yeah, it's a very different art style for some reason.
Yeah, it's the same drawing except it's like they got rid of for some reason Crash is a lot tinier in the American one. But they're like, it's basically like they just got rid of the line art, like the line outline. It's more cartoony, that one's more 3D. And then the Japan, we just don't talk about the Japan one because why?
It's Japanese Crash. Also,
in the games, does he look like that?
No, okay. No, it's just for the art and advertising.
Oh, okay.
But keep in mind, Twin Sanity in Japan is known as Crash 5.
Oh, really?
I just want to point that out because it comes up later.
Oh, goodness.
But yeah. So Twin Sanity is such a upsetting story when you really think about it.
Yeah.
So, Twin Sanity was developed by Traveller's Tales Oxford Studios, which was a studio set up by Traveller's Tales specifically to handle the Crash series.
Oh, okay.
It was also the only game that they made.
Yep. Oh. Oh no.
So keep that in mind. So, Twin Sanity is one of the most ambitious Crash games ever made.
Yep.
It took the open world idea that Cerny had with Wrath of Cortex and actually ran with it. Because the game starts out and you're in an open-ended little hub area that you can explore freely and do a bunch of stuff and collect things.
Yep.
And the whole gimmick with Twin Sanity is you're teaming up with Cortex.
Yep.
And you have to use Cortex in tandem to get through the stages.
Yep.
And the main villain of the game is the evil twins, who are two...
They're two, like, pet birds that Cortex had that he, like, lost or something, or...
he warped them to another dimension.
Yeah.
He warped them to another dimension, and they mutated into what they are now.
Yeah.
And I believe this game was actually written by the Ren and Stimpy writers, believe it or not.
Oh, that's funny.
But, so Twin Sanity is pretty cool. Like, it's got a very open-ended design. Do you remember the ads for Twin Sanity?
I do remember some of them, I think, but...
They were literally Chris Pontius and Steve-O.
Oh, yeah!
Well, they were the Wild Boys at the time, but they were obviously famous from Jackass.
Yeah. And
they were... The whole gimmick with the ads is they were reenacting the stunts that you can perform in the game.
Oh, God.
You can find the ad. You can find the commercial on YouTube. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. I'm going to have to look that up after. I remember it. It's coming back to me now, but...
Yeah. But what... So... This game looks amazing. Has a really cool open design.
The soundtrack.
The soundtrack is entirely a cappella.
Yeah.
By a band called Spiral Mouth.
It's so good. Are they still making music?
I don't think they are anymore.
Oh.
But,
Well, this game... Oh! Okay, don't Google Spiral Mouth. Like, don't let it autocorrect because sharks pop up.
Cool.
It's like a shark that has like a weird spiral mouth, and it's terrifying. Yeah. I kind of hate that I know this exists now.
Yeah, but it also created that Stormtrooper gif.
Yes.
The song.
Music. What happened to Spiral Mouth?
They broke up, I think.
Oh.
But yeah, so you go through the game, and I don't want to go too deep into Twin Sanity just because it's a lot of game.
We could do a whole podcast on it, honestly.
The problem with Twin Sanity is what it wasn't. Because Twin Sanity is one of the greatest... I call it one of the biggest what could have beens because it is one of the most unfinished games you'll ever play.
Oh, yeah. You can tell.
It is missing so much content.
Well, especially, like, I'm on the Wikipedia right now, and, like, I've been looking at, like, just, like, they organize it by, like, the hubs, basically, like, the hub worlds that you'll go into. And, like, this one is, like, it's dramatically shorter than all the other Crash games. Like, it's just, like, what... This can fit on my screen completely, and none of the other ones can. Like, it just dramatically shows, like, there's so much... But wasn't there a lot of content? They had to rush it, and they had to basically cut.
They rushed it, and they cut a lot. Like, on the back of the case, it says there were 4 playable characters. There's only 3 playable characters in the game.
Womp womp.
Coco was supposed to be playable. She's not. There was also, like, there was ideas for, like, other dimensions they were going to travel to.
Yeah.
There's a lot of sound effects missing in the game. And this game also has some really unforgiving checkpoints.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like... So certain bosses, like, after you defeat them, they'll stay on the screen. Do not touch them after they're still on the screen, because their hitboxes are still active and you will die.
Oh!
There's a scene where Coco gets paralyzed.
Yep.
If you touch Coco, you die.
Jesus.
The game is very poorly coded in a lot of places.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's actually kind of infuriating how unfinished the game is. But on the plus side, though, what we do get is really good.
Yeah.
And it's really funny, too.
The comedy elements were really great.
Well, this was the first Crash game that featured Lex Lang as Cortex.
Yep.
And I love Clancy Brown, but Lex Lang, to me, he actually fully took the role and made it his own.
Yeah, he really had fun with it.
Yeah, like there's some great scenes. Like one of my favorites is the skiing levels where Crash uses Cortex as a board. And there's at one point where you're going down the ice mountain and you literally go through a literal brothel.
Oh boy. Oh, I remember that, yeah.
And it's like all women screaming, and then there's at one point where Cortex is like, "Are those real?"
That stuck in a lot of like like dirty jokes that would like go over your head as a kid.
There was a ton as a kid, and then the most disturbing one is the woman screams and then he goes, "Mother?"
Oh.
Yeah, it's like, what?
What are you implying?
As a kid, that flies right over your head.
Yeah.
As an adult, though, you're like, what?
You're like, what is happening?
But yeah, there's like that. There's also the there's like the 20-minute scene right before that where Cortex is like leaning over the rail and Crash is just staring at his ass before he goes and kicks him off.
Yeah, maybe it's not Crash who has it. Maybe it's Cortex.
No. Or then there's also what my favorite joke in the game is though during the ice level with all the penguins.
Mm-hmm.
There's a scene where Cortex is arguing with a penguin and he makes the joke about, well, Wrath of Cortex didn't do as well as we'd hoped.
Wow, they're sassy.
Yeah. And then he's just like, the penguin looks angrier and he's just like, fish? Holding up a fish, and it cuts back to the penguin, back to Cortex, back to the penguin, back to Cortex, he's holding a gun and he shoots it.
Oh god. That game really did have some funny elements to it.
There was the part where Cortex gets caught in the pipe and farts.
Oh, yep, and he goes like...
Yeah, he makes that pathetic cry.
Yeah. Oh, it's so iconic. That game was so...
Oh, another great one too is...
Oh, you go first.
Well, another great comedy moment was there's a scene with you're playing as Nina Cortex, the new character, who's like she's Cortex's quote unquote niece.
My daughter niece.
My daughter niece. Yeah, but there's a scene where you're playing as her, and it's like one of the chase scenes, and it's Cortex's blimp with a bus tied to it, swinging back and forth, going after you.
Yep.
And right before that scene, Cortex had told Crash to tie down the blimp somewhere. And Cortex is like, tie it to something secure, I said. But it's Crash, so of course...
Crash.
School bus.
Yep.
But anyways, yeah. The game has a ton of awesome potential, amazing soundtrack. It just wasn't finished.
Yeah.
It's a shame. And apparently, one of the main programmers actually... Around when the we'll get to him later, but the remastered remakes came out,
mm-hmm.
He had said that he'd be all for finishing Twin Sanity.
Oh my god, I would be so down for that.
If they'd let him, but it's Activision, so I doubt it will ever happen.
Petition. What's petition?
Yeah, Activision's in kind of hot water right now,
oh,
so.
Womp womp.
So I don't want to get into it, but yeah.
Yeah. Aww.
So after Twin Sanity, then we get... This is where the series gets weird.
Mm-hmm.
So the next game in the series after Twin Sanity was
is this
Crash
where the
Tag
character...
Team Racing.
Oh, wait, no, it's not the character design yet.
No, Tag Team Racing.
Yep.
So Tag Team Racing, I'll admit, I enjoyed it at the time, and I still do to a degree. That said, I see how many flaws it has nowadays.
Well, I feel like you more enjoy it because of the nostalgic factor.
Maybe. Well, that was like one of the first games I had for the PSP when that came out, and I played the shit out of the PSP game.
Yep, I remember. Oh, wait, but there was like a console version, though, too, right? Because I remember watching you play it. Okay.
Because I got the console version later.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, so... what the gimmick with Tag Team Racing was, it was a racing game, the third racing game, but it was also it had like a platforming like stages.
Yes.
So like when you weren't racing, you were going through like platforming levels.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of in a similar style to Twin Sanity, they were open ended. Excuse me.
Yep.
But so I believe I want to say Tag Team Racing started development originally with maybe it was Traveler's Tales was still working on it.
I don't know.
Yeah, I believe they were still somewhat working on it at the time. Yeah. But eventually development transferred over to Radical Entertainment, they're very well known for some of their awesome like games, like they made The Simpsons Hit and Run,
mm-hmm.
among a few other games.
Yep.
And they later were famous for making Prototype.
Oh.
But this was their first Crash game.
Mm-hmm.
Keyword being first. And so my problem in hindsight with Tag Team Racing is the racing part of the game is laughable. Is like laughable.
Oh.
How pathetic it is.
Oh no.
So all you need to do in the whole gimmick with it is you can fuse together with
Oh, and isn't
racers.
it like if you fuse and you're like the person who's like the shooter, not the driver, you basically get like a ROM that's basically makes it so you win, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So all you have to do to win every race, find Engine.
Yep.
Get his gun, because his gun is brutally overpowered. Destroy everybody with it, and then the second you get towards the final lap at the finish, disconnect from him, and then win.
That's so horrible. I mean, it's hilarious.
It ruins the game, because honestly, the tracks aren't terrible.
Yeah.
But there's no challenge. And then the platforming's okay, but it's nothing, like, spectacular.
Yeah.
Honestly, what makes Tag Team Racing stand out is its characters and stuff, which are so out of place in Crash.
Yeah, doesn't it have, like, the weird bean people? People kind of look like green beans. Oh, and it has the Wampa Fruit Man, right? The Wampa Fruit
Yeah,
Man.
who's the fucking villain?
Oh, yeah!
And the chicken men.
Oh, the chicken men. Yeah, it had some weird aspects. It was a weird game.
Yeah. But one of the weirdest things is, rather than like crystals and stuff or items to find, you could find these little random events throughout the game.
Mm-hmm.
And there was two of them. There was dioramas, which were literally just Crash getting murdered in these horrible ways.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Like they're supposed to be funny, but some of them are really kind of disturbing.
Yep.
And then there's like gags and stuff where it's usually Crash horribly like torturing the staff around the park.
Yep.
But yeah, so Tag Team Racing then came out, and then also fun fact about Tag Team Racing.
Mm-hmm.
There are bonus like skins that you can change for Crash in that game.
Yep.
One of them is Japanese Crash.
Amazing. With the bug eyes.
You can play you can play as Japanese Crash.
That's funny. So in the Japanese version, is there like you can play as the American Crash?
I don't know, because it's a cheat code to unlock it, so I'm not sure if maybe in the Japanese version they actually made that the default model.
Yeah, that's just what I was wondering. Like,
So now, after Crash Tag Team Racing, Radical would take over the series, but before their first game would come out, we'd get the most forgettable Crash game ever made.
Oh no.
Crash Boom Bang.
Crash Boom Bang? What was that?
It was a party game on the DS.
Oh.
Like it was like the most Mario Party ripoff that you could get.
One of my favorite things is looking at the American title and then looking at the Japan one. This Crash looks so fucked. What's wrong with it?
Oh yeah, they were still doing Japanese Crash at that point.
Mm.
But it's just, it's the one Crash game I don't own.
Oh really? Huh.
Yeah. Because it's a DS game, and DS games are expensive now for no reason.
Yeah. It's also the one game that has barely any information on it on Bandipedia, whatever it is.
Because it's pointless. It is just a crappy... So, the whole gimmick is it's mini-games.
Yep.
And the boom bang part is you can, like, mess with the player by putting booms and bangs on the screen.
Oh. That's dumb.
Yeah, it's...
Sorry.
People say Crash Bash is bad. No, I'll take Crash Bash any day over this thing. So, then after that, now we get to quite possibly the most infamous era of Crash Bandicoot.
The redesigned ones, right? With, like, the gremlins.
Tattoo Crash is what they like to call it.
Yes.
So, the next game in the series was Crash of the Titans, which was... I won't say a continuity reboot because they acknowledge things in the past that happened.
Yeah.
But they're definitely a reimagining of the series.
Yes. I mean, from looking at Crash alone, I will say the one redeeming thing. Oh, they didn't have a Japanese version.
No, I believe, this was where they stopped doing that.
Yeah. Huh.
So these games were designed for the Wii.
Yep.
Now, I will say, aside from the art design changes, which I'm not a huge fan of.
Yeah.
These games aren't terrible.
No.
They're not amazing by any means.
They're playable.
Yeah, they're solid enough. So, the whole thing with Crash of the Titans and then its successor, Mind Over Mutant, were they're beat-em-up platformer hybrids.
Yep.
So the whole gimmick is you have to run and attack enemies and stuff in like beat-em-up style. And the whole gimmick is you can capture these mutants and use them as like basically mechs, essentially.
Yeah.
But the first Crash of the Titans was okay. I mean, it had decent levels and fun enough gameplay. Mm-hmm. Story was kind of meh. Yeah. Now, Mind Over Mutant is such a confusing game. Because it actually has some really cool level design in platforming. Mm-hmm. And has like this like semi-open like world design.
Yep.
And the game's humor is pretty funny. Like they brought back Embryo from way back, and he's like the main villain. Mm-hmm. And the gimmick is every cutscene in the game changes its art style. So there's like a Dragon Ball Z parody. There's a South Park parody.
That was
like a Walt Disney parody.
I wasn't sure if that was for both games or if it was just for this
No,
one.
that was only Mind Over Mutant.
Okay.
But it's so freaking funny.
I remember that more than the actual gameplay, which I feel like kind of says a lot about the games.
The game itself is okay.
Yeah.
But it's so forgettable.
Yeah.
Like, there is some honest-to-God good platforming in there.
Yep.
But it's buried under so much repetition. And
it's boring.
And Mind Over Mutant would actually... It killed the series for a good couple of years.
Yeah.
Because when you look at the timeline... So you have Mind Over Mutant, which came out in 2008. Also, fun fact... A Crash Bandicoot game never saw a release on the PlayStation 3.
Oh, really?
So Mind Over Mutant and Attack of the Titans, they came out on PS2 and the Wii.
Yep.
Mind Over Mutant came out on 360, but no PS3.
Huh.
There was never a Crash game on the PS3, and that is baffling. But following Mind Over Mutant in 08, all we had was 2 mobile games in the form of Nitro Kart 3D and Nitro Kart 2, which I've never played and I've never actually seen. They're apparently on the iTunes store at one point.
Oh.
The first one was on the N-Gage, so maybe if I ever get an N-Gage, I'll track that down.
Huh.
But yeah. So between 08 until 2017, there was no Crash games of merit.
Oh, wow.
And then out of nowhere, we got the Crash Insane Trilogy announcement.
Yeah. I remember all the teasers for that and stuff, too.
Oh, yeah. Basically, Activision did a it was a timed exclusivity deal with Sony to remake the first 3 Crash games.
Yep.
From the ground up in PS4 quality graphics. Vicarious Visions came back and they handled development.
Yep. And
re-released them in one convenient package. And my God, are they so fucking good.
Yeah.
The definitive way to play Crash 1 and 2. Just 3 is just as good either way.
Yeah.
But my God, so much fun.
Yeah. And I thought that how they modernized the characters, like the redesigns, because obviously they changed the designs, but they were still very true to the character, but keeping it in a modern, more up-to-date way. But it didn't look like the characters were strange or anything.
And they didn't stray from anything Naughty Dog created. Like, they, frame for frame, everything is remade from the ground up. They even included, like, a few bonus things that were dummied out from the original games. Yeah. And such. And these, it's no secret, these were fucking successful.
And you're incorrect. they did keep the Japanese design. They did keep Japanese, not Sonic, Crash for the PS4 Insane trilogy. They kept it.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there's a version.
I've
of
never
it.
seen it. So
they didn't do
I've
it for the two games that
the mutant games,
but they did do it for the Insane trilogy. Because I see it.
Well, that's
right
even
now.
better.
Oh, it's funny.
But yeah, they also did a limited edition, like a special edition. I believe I don't think it was actually sold, but there was a limited edition. They made a PS1 style disc like case for it.
Oh, that's cool.
And yeah, it's safe to say this was super successful. Because immediately, it was eventually after the exclusivity deal ran out, they ported it to everything.
Yep.
And then it was immediately followed up by the Crash Team Racing Nitro Fuel.
Yeah.
Which was a from the ground up remake of Crash Team Racing.
Yep. But
incorporating elements from Nitro Kart as well.
Yes.
And it is a very, very, very good racing game.
And
very
they
well
add
made.
a ton of content to it, right? Because I was kind of looking at it while we were talking about Crash Team.
It has some pretty shitty, like, pay-to-win elements, but, I mean, that's everything
kind of
nowadays.
that's kind of just how it works now, unfortunately.
It sucks, but it is what it is. It kind of ruined playing online, that's all I'll say.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that was phenomenal. And it was made by Beanox of all studios. another Activision studio that just handles everything.
Yeah.
And then following that, what came out of nowhere to me was the announcement of Crash 4. It's about time. Keep in mind, Crash Wrath of Cortex was known as Crash 4 in the past.
Yep.
And True Insanity was 5. So, Crash 4 was actually made by a studio called Toys for Bob.
Yep.
And they were known they did the Skylanders series, and they did the Spyro trilogy. Mm-hmm. So I was a little weirded out, and I was like, I was a little confused, because I was wondering, like, why didn't Vicarious Visions work on this?
Yeah.
But they were actually busy doing the Tony Hawk Pro Skater remake.
Ah, so.
So, Toys for Bob made the 4th game, and I'll give them props. They did a really good job.
Yeah.
So, Crash 4 is an incredibly solid continuation of the Crash series. It's and it essentially writes out everything after Warped. Mm-hmm. And it takes place as if those didn't happen.
Yep. Which is
a little sucky, because I love True Insanity.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, alright, whatever.
Yeah.
And honestly, it was a really solid game.
Yeah.
A little hard, but I mean, everything's kind of hard. But
yeah. But you'd rather be difficult than, like, extremely easy, you know?
True. And I believe Crash 4 did well.
Oh, really? Huh.
The problem is, though, Activision is a shitty company like they are.
Yep.
Toys for Bob has been moved over to work exclusively on Call of Duty.
Ah. Womp,
yeah.
Womp, womp.
And they have currently no plans to continue the Crash series.
Really?
Yeah.
It was so successful, too. That's such a shame.
Yeah, Activision's a shitty company.
Yeah,
so.
Activision, you kind of said. Well, I feel like they're a money company. Because Call of Duty is probably a game that's going to sell, and it's easy to make, and
people still keep fucking buying it.
Yeah, that's the thing. In the end, it comes down to profit. Because I'm sure with this game, they put so much time and so much effort, and it cost a lot of money to make it. But in reality, when you're looking at it from a business sense, Call of Duty doesn't take that much to make, probably, and can sell. So it kind of sucks. Yeah.
That's the problem with Activision. They are the definition of milk it till it's dead.
Yeah.
And then throw it away.
Yeah.
Look at Guitar Hero.
Yeah. No.
Look at Tony Hawk.
Yep.
But unlike those two, people still buy Call of Duty. Even though it's the same fucking game every year.
Yep.
But, yeah. So, I don't know what the future for Crash is at this point.
Yeah, that's kind of sucks. Oh. Well, it doesn't kind of suck. It does suck.
And Activision is currently going... Well, not so much Activision, but their parent company, Activision Blizzard.
Mm-hmm.
They're currently going through some shit right now I don't really want to get into, but...
Oh, boy.
Yes, we're going to see how that works out.
Yep.
But... So, what would you say is your favorite Crash game out of the whole series?
Well, I'd have to say it has to go back to, like, my nostalgic factor. So, probably Crash 3 Warped. You know, just because...
Yeah, to me, it's between Warped or 2. I have a soft spot between Sanity just because of how...
No, me too, yeah.
Because that game stuck with you back in the day.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it's a shame.
No, that really sucks. Like, I'm not surprised. Like, hearing you say that, I'm not surprised at all. Because, in the end, companies want money. And it's clear that they want money versus... So, I don't know. Maybe they'll sell Crash to a different company. I doubt it. But that would be nice if they did. Could you please sell this so other people can make games? Thank you. Just keep playing.
Well, I'm amazed we got a 4 at all.
Yeah. Oh.
And the fact that they immediately just give up on it like that, I was like, oh.
Yeah, that sucks.
I mean, there was a mobile game.
Yeah.
Does anyone care about that?
I know. It's so funny actually thinking about that. Like, there was like a time where everyone was like, mobile gaming is going to take over, but it really didn't happen.
And it's always a runner game.
Yeah. Oh, it's always like Temple Run?
Either that or a side-scrolling run. Like, you remember Sonic Runners?
No, I don't remember.
That was a short-lived mobile Sonic game.
They made their money and they said peace.
Yep. But yeah, Crash. What an iconic series.
Honestly, it's so nostalgic thinking about it. And it makes... I feel like, though, we kind of ended on a shitty note, because it's just like, what's going to happen with Crash? Maybe we'll see it in another 10 years or so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could try doing the Crash dance.
If you want to do that, go on ahead, but make sure you film yourself and post it on your Instagram. Thanks, I will not be doing that. I am too tired. I'll do it in my sleep. Peace.
Yeah.
Please, actually, now you need to stand up and do it. Do the Crash dance.
No.
Do it.
I'd have to look up how to do it because I don't remember.
All right. If you learn to do it, can I record you when I'm home for Thanksgiving and we can post it on... I'll learn to do it too, okay? What if we both... and then I'll cosplay as the box and you cosplay as Crash.
Forgot about that.
I'm real serious about it. I feel like that would be one of those cosplays where people would, like, really laugh. Like, they just get a kick out of it. Oh.
Alright. Well... Anyways, guys.
Yes.
Thanks once again. Thanks for joining us on the Gaming and Collecting Podcast. You can find the Gaming and Collecting Podcast on all your major podcasting platforms.
We didn't talk about anime, Bill.
You're the one that wants to go to sleep.
Okay. Alright, well, it's part of our pod. Alright, I'll talk about it
You finished Fruit Baskets, we know.
But I started something else, but I'll tell you about it next time.
Okay.
Alright, continue with your spiel, Mr. Spielberg.
Right. So, anyways, the Gaming Collecting Podcast is made on Anchor Podcasts, and you can find us on all your major podcasting platforms, particularly Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the Gaming Collecting Podcast on YouTube, and you can check us out on Good Pods. But once again, guys, thank you for joining us as we discuss the games that shaped us. We will see you all next time.
I'm cosplaying as a box from Crash Bandicoot, people.
We'll see you all later.
We'll see you all at the convention with me in my box costume. Oh, God.